Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle DeTeach, or Coach Danni D, and I help women entrepreneurs and professionals to achieve their personal success stories that include joy, fulfillment, and balance. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease, be successful, and enjoy your life. My happy place is spending as much time in my PJs as humanly possible. And I want to help other women find their happy space while running profitable businesses or having a successful career. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello, and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am your host, Coach Danni D, always here helping you to redefine success beyond the grind. So that's my new summary since the anthology is out. But basically, we are here helping you find success, your own personal success today, right now, not when you're 50, not when the kids graduate, not when you lose 142 pounds, but today. So I am so excited. I have a great guest for you guys today. And just our past conversation, I'm still reeling over. So I can't wait till you guys get into this conversation. So I have Dr. Manisha Carter Ruffin, and she also goes by Dr. M.
Mhm.
And she is a legacy integration strategist. I can't wait to hear more about that. And she also provides clarity for parent leaders in life, leadership, and legacy. So, Dr. M, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I love having these rich conversations and I love meeting new people that bring new perspective to these conversations. So, I'm going to just start by giving you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself and your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, sure. So first, I just want to just say kudos to you for just creating a space for women like, us who have a story and, allowing us to be able to get that story out. So I really appreciate this platform. And this has been such an honor. And for me, my entrepreneurial journey, that's such a loaded question.
We always love the
Right?
backstory because that
Yeah,
I feel like you get to know a person
absolutely.
and their passion
Mm-hmm.
from the backstory because
Mm-hmm.
you know I have yet to meet somebody that the backstory was linear, right? Like
Hmm. Right. It's never, right? And that's
it's
just so
always a
interesting,
journey.
especially for us planners, because it's like if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan, right? So I have
Absolutely.
learned to write my plans in pencil because oftentimes the setback is, harder because it's not what you had in mind. And that has
Right.
really been a lot of my journey. And I think another big thing for me was not realizing how long, when you're building something as massive, it just depends on the calling, right? So if you're
Right.
building something that's massive, you're going to spend years underground,
Right. Right.
and when you're in an environment where social media and everybody feels like it's moving and shaking, your progress, if you're not careful, you could be
Right.
deceived and feel like you're not farther along as you should,
Absolutely.
and things like that. And that can kind of, kind of taint the journey a bit. And so for me, my journey, I would say really it started when I was much younger. My parents were entrepreneurs. I have entrepreneurship in my blood. Like my
Mm-hmm.
family, that's all I knew. I never even worked for anyone until I was in my 30s. And I
Oh,
worked for
wow.
about 4 years in a corporate. And the reason why I did that is because I knew I needed to do that in order to get my kids in the school zone.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved to Orlando at the time, you had to make 3 times your income in order to be in that neighborhood.
Gotcha.
So I had the most education, and so I had to do that, and I feel like God used that season to teach me a whole lot working for somebody else.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's some
You
lessons there.
some lessons, right?
It's
But it
definitely
all
some
works out
lessons
for your
there.
good. So my journey ultimately started by being a workaholic. I was very passionate. My parents were workaholics. I watched my mom's dream turn into a drug.
Mm.
and you don't sign up for that, no mom wants to do that.
Mm-mm.
But
I just want you
it
to
happens.
pause on there for a second, though. Because I just had a conversation, I literally just had a conversation very similar about how, we don't realize there's more.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
phrase just hit me like a ton of bricks,
Hmm.
that,
Hmm.
that it became a drug.
Yeah. And we don't see it happening. I mean, even
Mm-mm.
for me, I had a charitable organization for 12 years for young girls. And when you're doing something that is benefiting the community, I mean, my pastor was running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Like
Right.
I mean, I could tell that things were strained in his personal life.
Mm-hmm.
But who had a model or blueprint of how it was supposed to be done?
Right. Right.
You saw those people get acknowledged. Those are the ones that got rewards. And so you begin to think that that's what success looked like. And so for me, I call it the great deception because the
Mm.
very reason why you're doing all that is for the same people that you separate yourself from in the
Right.
process. So you
Right.
know that, you know what I mean, that can't be of God. I'm like, if the Bible speaks of good success, there's got to be a way that it's not good success. And
Right.
there was a one of the ladies on my podcast. She said one of those gut wrenching statements. She was like, "We're too busy being busy building
Mm.
our business," and busy for her meant being under Satan's yoke. I was
Oh.
like, whew, I even get chills now thinking about it in that way. It
Right.
is. When
Right.
we get busy and we start doing focusing on all the things, we're missing key pieces.
Yes.
And that's the piece that literally tarnishes our legacy. And so
Yes.
I have the pleasure to see it on both ends because I work with the clients who have the portfolios, who built it on the other end, and their biggest problem it's crazy. Coach Danny, their biggest problem is not knowing, not having a person that's responsible enough that they trust to continue their legacy in their absence.
Mm.
They don't have a real relationship with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Their kids have resented the business and gone completely other the way. Some of them have gone towards drugs. Some of them have just lost their identity and they don't.
Because
So,
at the end of the day, kids want the time.
you know,
Kids want the time. I've had way too many conversations with parents who are frustrated because they put all of their attention into the legacy, right?
hmm
And the kids are saying, I could have did without all that stuff
if I just had you.
if I
Yeah.
had you.
And I showed, especially moms, that's why I love working with moms because I showed moms how to crack the code on that from a psychological standpoint. Because
Mm-hmm.
really, the kids think that they're saying that the language is for us more time, more moments. But really, when I did the study on it, it's really less about the physical presence and the time that they're with you. And it's more about the meaningful memories that they have with you.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yes.
don't know how to communicate it, but that's really what they're saying.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that I had a season, just to backtrack in my journey as an entrepreneur, 12 years in the community, forgot my daughter at school.
Oh,
Yeah, literally at the award show, Mayor was going to be there, big deal. And I'm like, oh, London. And I forgot her. Yeah, the buses had just left, but it didn't matter. It was the fact that I literally
right.
got my baby, you know? And for me, that was the straw. And so I was like, I'll never forget. I was running down the hallway. She had that big old book bag on, and she looked at me with those big, pretty brown eyes. She was like, "It's okay, mommy." I was like, "No, baby, it's not okay.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not okay." Because we oftentimes have family members, they get it, especially when you're doing something positive and everybody's
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging you. You get a pass. But that to me is even the deeper deception. When you have
Right.
a family who's
Right.
supporting you in your foolishness, you know,
Right. No,
it's
you
like,
still have to be
yeah,
responsible,
like wait a minute. Yeah, this isn't what this isn't what I want to model, right?
Yeah.
For you. And what we communicate to our children without them knowing is that this is more important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the key because for me, when it comes to legacy, that's why I love working with moms, parent leaders in particular, but moms that carry so much. So the idea is that you're not building a business for real. You're
Mm-hmm.
really managing a last name.
Yeah.
And when you really shift that, then now you're not just thinking about the business metrics. Now
Yes.
you're understanding that those babies that have your last name, they
Yes.
are the real legacy.
Yeah.
I don't care what property you have. I don't care what portfolio you have. Nothing's going to give you the multiplying return like
Right.
your babies.
Yeah.
You impart in them leadership, when you impart in them godliness, when you impart in them, those things that they will not only be there for you in your older age, right? Because
Right.
they understand the cycle of life and how to pour
Right.
back, but they will show up, they will lead, they will carry your last name. They will take what you have and steward it.
Yes.
That's where the true profits are. And we're so busy, distracted trying to build the business that
Right.
we forget to manage that last name. And when we really shift to the brand of that last name and we start imparting on our kids, that's where everything begins to change. So I'm gonna share this with you about Mommy the Memory Maker. Remember when I was talking to you about the psychological impact on children,
Mm-hmm.
how they really want
Yeah.
memories than they actually want time.
Yes.
And this hit me because I was at Disney World. I don't know. Have you ever been to Disney World?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
not many people
Look,
that
I'm a
haven't
Disney
experienced.
girl.
Yeah, not many people haven't experienced Disney World because it's just one of those things that's like everybody has to experience. So if
At
you're
least
listening, you haven't
once.
gone
Right.
at least
Yes.
once, at least once. And so I'm in the middle of Disney World. I have, we have six kids. At this time, we only had two. And as we've been there for like 6 hours. My legs are burning. Nobody talks about that part.
Mm-mm.
My legs are literally burning. The lines were long. This is before Fast Pass and all that.
Right. Right.
Lines are long. Even the water is expensive. Everything there is expensive, right?
Yes.
I can
Yes.
go on and on about the things that are not so pleasant about Disney World.
Right.
However, Disney have done an exceptional job at being able to take those memorable moments
Mm-hmm.
that are so meaningful that it literally causes you to forget
All of the
the
rest
painful
of it.
moment.
Yeah.
None of the rest of it, like even you like, I have to go. There's people that go multiple times. I've been more than once or
Mm-hmm.
twice. And the reason why is because that castle,
Yeah.
those fireworks,
It's an
those
experience.
characters coming out on the parade, like
Yes.
they have done such an exceptional job at creating memorable moments
Mm-hmm.
that the kid doesn't even think about all the inconveniences and all the pain.
Mm-mm.
That's when I realized I've cracked the whole code on mommyhood. I'm like, I need to be the mommy, the memory maker.
Yes.
Because I remember getting that position, my first job in my 30s, I cried. And my husband at that time, he was like, I don't know if you're crying because you're happy or you like what? I was
Yeah.
like,
What's happening?
you know, because I had after 12 years of doing a church organization, I had went back home to being a homeschool and stay-at-home mom, and I liked
Mm-hmm.
it. I started to get my rhythm.
Right.
And as soon as I got my rhythm and brought myself back to my home and my identity and finding out my favorite color and getting my
Right.
groove back,
Right.
then now God shifts me. See, that's what I say. It's never linear, right?
No, it never.
Shifts me to a
Never.
completely different, landscape where now I'm working for someone else on what time I have to be there and leave and all these different things that
Right.
I discover. Like, oh God, this is what the people doing. Whew, Lord, please. I remember driving to work saying, okay, God, what is my
Right.
assignment up
Like,
here?
teach me the lesson quick so I can get back to my
Okay.
regularly scheduled
Oh,
program.
girl, you couldn't tell me nothing when I first started. I was top performer, 30 days. I got dressed, wear my little outfits. It was good in the beginning. As that first 6 months started to kick in, and then a year, I'm like, okay, I'm over this.
Like, look, okay, this was cute.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but it was that experience that helped me to see how corporate is ran.
Right.
And I said, if we ran our homes and our businesses like this,
Yes.
where would we be?
Yeah.
The corporate companies communicate more than homes, than the people in their homes.
Yes.
So I literally started to take the systems that worked, that were efficient, that had been proven to scale for years and years to come. And I created a system and an infrastructure that allowed me to weave that into the home life. And that is how I sustain that I work many hours. If you would ask my kids to this day, that was one of the most exciting seasons of their life, even though I was working the most that they've ever seen.
Right.
Because I had to get really intentional about making memorable moments. So one day I left work early. Of course, you have to go through the protocol and
Mm-hmm.
permission,
Right, right, right.
submit, and all, stuff. So I did that, and I surprised my daughter at school, and she loved animals. And I took her to this puppy petting store,
Oh,
and she just was so she was so excited. She wasn't expecting to see me, and then I take her to just pet these animals, and then we went and got ice cream. She still remembers that. That's been over
yeah.
some years. So it's little notes, in their book bag. It's
Mm-hmm.
doing the things that they're not expecting. They just want to know that you see them, that they matter.
Yes.
When they,
And the word that stood out to me was intentional, right? Because whenever I speak to people about work-life balance, people give you that look and they roll their
harmony,
eyes.
harmony.
They
There's
roll
no
their
balance.
eyes. Yeah, I got you, but I'm just saying you get the eye roll, right?
Yes, yes.
And where my, my pushback to that is how intentional are you being about the other parts? Because if I ask somebody, what do you have going on or what are you working on today? What's on your to-do list? They're gonna give me a whole list of their business or their job or, they're gonna give me a whole list of that. But where was that writing a note to your child? Where was that, making things memorable? Because I'm an
Yep.
experienced girl. Like
Yeah.
I am hands down an experienced girl. So
Yeah.
for me, it's like it doesn't have to be, huge to be an
Lavish,
experience.
right. And it doesn't have to be extravagant and expensive.
No,
Honestly, that pet trip, that was free. They
right.
allowed you to go in, like that was like an adoption for puppies, and they just allowed you to do that. And coming up with, and even like your spouse, like for those of you all who are married, a lot of times the marriage gets strained just because it's just this mundane,
It gets stale.
predictable. Hmm.
It gets
Yeah.
stale. It gets
Yeah.
stale. I was reading this book. I just finished this book yesterday, and they were talking about this one couple did Wander Wednesdays. And
Mm.
so every Wednesday, they go and just do something
Yeah.
different. They look for something new and unusual to do. And if they can't find like an activity to do, they go and eat somewhere
Yeah.
they never ate
Different.
before. Or if
Yeah.
they go to a restaurant they normally go to, they eat something they've never eaten before.
Yes,
So
I
it's
love
like
it. Keeping
discovering
that
something new.
curiosity and that
Right.
venture in. Yeah,
Discovering
yeah,
something new. But it it
yeah,
it only takes a little bit of intention to make
yeah,
something
yeah.
special. You put the kids drink in a little special glass with a little straw, and it's all of a
Absolutely.
sudden
I'm telling
it's a
you.
it's a whole
I'm
new
telling you, it
experience.
really is. And that's why I shifted moms from not thinking so much about the time and thinking much about it's like quality over quantity.
Yeah, yeah, you
Because
want that
like,
time to
I've been
be
in a relationship,
valuable.
yeah, where he
Yeah.
came home every night, but what value are you bringing to the experience? Like you just
Well, you
here,
just yelling at people and telling them to pick up their socks and make sure you got your stuff ready for tomorrow and eat
you
your
know?
broccoli. I mean,
And
okay.
then repeating the next thing the next day, that becomes your legacy.
Right.
That becomes what they think and know about you.
Right.
And that's what I have a charitable organization called Raising Rising Leaders.
Mm.
And the concept of that is attentional parenting, moving from gentle parenting,
Mm-hmm.
which has its place in terms of letting a kid feel psychological safe. I get that, psychological safety, but the lack of guidance is the piece, the
Right.
intentional
Right.
guidance. You need to raise leaders. And
Right.
so because leaders that can handle your legacy that you're building.
Mm.
Right. And so that's what I love about this process is because you get the opportunity to learn how to or relearn or unlearn even a lot of the things that even I experienced,
Mm-hmm.
growing up and seeing and knowing that there is a way to have good success. There is
Yes.
a way to be able to do all the things that God has called you to do. Like I tell people, the people that follow me, they don't have the luxury to do less. I hear all these gurus do less, take less off your
Mm-hmm.
plate. We don't have the luxury to do less. Our goals, our gifts, our talents are it requires us to be able to do more. We need more capacity. In
Right.
order to have that, you need the infrastructure so that you can get the rhythm. A lot of women are living in outdated rhythms, and that's why their
Yeah.
soul is exhausted. Like even if they get the physical rest, they wake up and their soul literally is exhausted.
Yeah.
They don't have the proper, I call it, I didn't realize it was BOSS. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
boss
Mm-hmm.
until much later. Actually a client shared it to me when I introduced it to her, but I've just cracked the code. It's three
Mm-hmm.
things that every single woman, and if you don't believe me, listen in. This is the part. If y'all multitasking right now, that's another story for another day. But this is the part where you stop and you really lean in and listen, right? Write every core frustration down that you have. Turn some music on and just boom, get it all out. And I'm telling you, every one of them is going to be solved with what I'm about to share. BOSS.
Okay.
Every core frustration is because of a lack of proper boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
proper or exceptional organization. Because someone, oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
organized. Exceptional. If you go get your glasses, where's your prescription for your glasses? Oh, boom. Where's your kids? Where's your passport information? Where's your taxes for 2020? Where's you know what I mean? Your physical organization, the digital clutter, the mental clutter. I'm talking about exceptional organization, right? You don't need to be late coming to work because you already know what you're wearing. Your closet. That's a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother conversation with the closet, right? And then sustainable systems. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times we're doing so much in our head or we're in an outdated system. We got to get a sustainable system that has that automation and that systematic approach to things so that you can do things more streamlined and ease. I'm telling you. And if you write it down and you don't see it right away, ask yourself, okay, that happened. Why did that happen? You answer it and you can't figure out if it hits one of those areas, ask it again. And why did that happen?
Right.
Why did that happen? And I'm telling you, you're gonna get to because you had a lack of. I don't care if it's your mother-in-law tried you.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely, it's a lack of boundaries.
No, you like you hit it head on. Like,
You know.
I haven't heard it so succinct before, but you hit it head on. It absolutely makes sense.
And that's what because in a world that has so much complexities, that is what I feel like is the biggest thing that I teach women is how to system think. I
Yes.
normally never give them anything over three things to remember so that they
Yes.
can be more intentional because it's about implementation, not information.
Yes.
And when you
Yes. Yes.
implement it,
Yes.
you can impart it. If you
Yes.
never implement it, you can't get the wisdom you need to
Yes.
do the impartation. And your children need the impartation because that's where the legacy is happening. So that's why I call it legacy integration strategy. The Holy Spirit actually gave me that name. I never heard of it myself, to be honest. I'm like, huh? Okay.
Like,
Just one of those obedient moves there.
if it ain't nowhere else to get inspiration,
Okay.
do you hear me?
Okay. He gonna have it for you.
That
And
part.
so, for me, it was like, I was like, okay, it was much later in my entrepreneurial journey that I was like, okay, I'm weaving life, leadership, and legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, your legacy is the end goal, right? But it
Right.
starts with your day-to-day life.
Yes.
And so, just how God does, He started with the end in mind.
Mm-hmm.
He said, let there be light. When he created anything, he always started with the end in mind. And so
Yes.
that's what I want to show women how to do, to take their vision and then put wings on it so that it matches the tax strategy. It flows. You say so many of us are losing and leaking money just
Mm-hmm.
because of our infrastructure is not set
Yes.
up properly. We got a
Yes.
charitable organization over here, and this is mingling with this, and this is over here. It's out of order.
Yes.
We would get tax breaks just and more money in our pockets just by being structured properly.
Yes. Yes.
I know clients that are spending thousands of dollars to the government when that could be going towards your charitable organization. So just getting that order, and then once you have that order in place, having that mission and that, so your kids can understand what's happening. They don't just look at it like a business. Okay,
Mhm.
this is a continuation of our family legacy. This is purpose.
Right.
This is a part of who I am. You ask my kids
Right.
today. We love, live, give, and inspire. Love unconditionally, live intentionally, give generously, and inspire others to do the same. I'm intentional about putting it around, about doing it. It's like managing a brand. You
Yes.
can't just have it on a wall in a frame. You gotta live it. That's how it becomes alive, you
But
know?
I think earlier you talked about just well what I'm just gonna back it up. What I'm hearing
Hmm.
and what I'm seeing in life right now is a lot of times we're out there, like you said, living, we
Hmm.
doing and we're going, but we don't take the time. Sometimes you have to slow down to speed up, right?
Yes.
And we don't want to take that time to slow down and build the foundation that is going to take us much further.
Absolutely. That's
And
why a lot of our people don't get funding. Like it broke my heart when I understood the funding process and city contracts and all that. It's because they don't have the proper documentation. They don't qualify. They don't have the, like I have clients that they could have gotten funding, $100,000 runway, and it's like, oh, you open up the business account, but you weren't directing the money, you weren't paying yourself. You didn't have an owner's draw. Little stuff.
mm-hmm,
Or oh, you've been in business for 8 years, but you just got registered a year ago. You got to have 2 years of
right,
business before you can qualify. Stuff like that. It's like, man, just
right,
and we're praying and we're asking and we're waiting on God, but God is waiting on us to get in order because if I was to bring the resources, would you really be able to hold it?
right, right,
And that's what's happening. And a lot of us are just out there spinning our wheels because we're premature and we have to go back and then the structure's off. And so this is creating this stress. And then we continue to repeat the cycle because our kids, we're modeling it. So then
right,
they end up seeing it and they end up, repeating the same thing. And
right.
so that's why I like to say I come to interrupt the pattern you
Yes,
know interrupt the success pattern where everybody is pursuing this you know cash flow. What good is money if your family is strained? What good is money if you're leaking out 20% of it unaware that could be going towards a whole life policy that's running making money for yourself, or it could be going towards another tool or product that can make sure your kids get out of your home and buy a home, stay
right,
in a duplex and live in one. You know what I mean? Like
right,
literally, kids are turning 18 and they're going and making another family rich.
right,
I'm told my kid, it's not about a number. It's about where your credit is. It's about where your cash flow is, where your savings, where are you there? Like we have a plan to make sure by the time you turn 18, you have these things in place. If not, you stand your behind here
right.
and you
Until you get
pay
on your
towards.
feet. Right,
Yeah, and then you still pay so you can know what it's like to practice paying. I save that, of course, make money on it while she's there. We're gonna,
right,
and then give it back to her when she leaves out. And so just teaching, especially our culture, how to do that so that I remember when I first started in business, well, I'll say about 5 years in business, cash flow was tight.
mm-hmm,
And I remember teaching one of my kids. I talked to him about interest rate, compound, all that thing. And when she got her first account, she was like, "Mom, they only give you 1% interest for savings." And I was like, "Yeah." And then later, I needed to make payroll, and I was like, "Dang, man, I need the extra $1,000." My daughter had saved up from her job, well over that. And I said, "Hey, because people think that's just your child. You can take the money and just pay it back next week when you get your cash flow." I said, "No, that's not how I operate my kids. I literally treat them with the honor and respect as,
right,
you know what I
right,
mean?" And I said, "Hey, your savings account is making this interest. I can go over here and do this, small business loan, but they're going to charge me this much interest. I'll give you that. I'd rather give that to you."
right,
You know what I mean? And then continue. She's easy, yes, no problem.
right,
And it
right,
felt so good being able to have a conversation like that with my teenage daughter
right,
and make that move to literally assist me in my cash flow, that I was able to rely right internally. I didn't have to go to a bank because I
right.
had
But
imparted in
that
my kids now.
also taught so many lessons, right? Like, one, you know, I'm glad that you gave an alternative to gentle parenting because I don't lay hands on my child, but when I see the gentle parenting, I'm like, oh, so you let
That
them
don't
lay
work
hands
for
on you though?
us. All right.
Like,
Call
what we
that one.
doing over here? So I'm glad for that. But the fact that you're having these conversations, right? That your kids are understanding what's going on because as a teenager, you're not far from having to deal with these things yourself, right?
Right.
Also, modeling knowing how to turn to your own community for help
That's it.
because that's something that as a community we need to stop being so, I got this, I'm, lone
Mm-hmm.
wolf,
Mm-hmm.
being able to, one, build a community that can help you, but two,
Mm-hmm.
learn to turn to that community in a moment of help and turn to them with a real business proposition, right? Like
Absolutely.
there was a win-win situation for
Absolutely.
for both you and her.
There you go. Creating those win-win scenarios. And that's why I love just with the peace-driven leadership, the community, that's what it is. It's an extension of support and being able to connect women with professional support. So it's a built-in referral base. And the reason why I created the business to have a referral based model is because in my business entrepreneur journey, there was so many scammers. And
Mm,
I had to learn the hard way. And I'm thankful, because I realized everything is happening for me, but it literally helped me to create the business model I have now because I'm like, no, I'm gonna give back to my clients. As my clients are coming in, I see what their business is and what they're doing. These are the people that I'm promoting. These are the people that
yes.
I'm sending other clients to so that we can keep it in the stress-free universe is what stress less
Right.
universe is what
Right.
I call it. Because I this whole um, meeting people online stuff and all of that, it's very dangerous. You want to go through referrals and relationships
Yes.
because and it's getting worse with AI and all that. It's hard to trust. And there's been
Yes.
thousands of dollars. I'm like, man, I'm building I got a family. I have little
Right.
margin for mess up. And if you would have just did what you said you were going to do, we could have built this thing and grew this thing. You could have had way more money than what you scammed
Right.
for, you
Right.
know? But that's the
And
world we live.
and I think that, unfortunately is the scammers are more visible.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
tend to be more visible. And that's why a lot of times, when I'm talking to clients as well as colleagues, I'm like, I know that maybe you don't feel comfortable being visible, but you need to get out there because until alternate voices speak,
Mm-hmm.
people see that as the only way, right? They
Mm-hmm.
see,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what is being put out there is a one-sided conversation. So they're like, oh, this is how this goes. And they don't
And just because you
realize,
pay more, that don't mean you're gonna get the best experience. That was
no.
one lesson I learned as well. I'm getting high ticket and the key, and just so there's a full circle accountability, the key that I learned as an entrepreneur here is that I had to heighten my discernment. There was
Hmm.
healing that needed to be done.
Yes.
Remember when I first talked about in the beginning of this podcast, I was saying that when you feel like you're behind, you feel like, man, I should be further along. What you tend to do is you make brash decisions. You have
Hmm.
the resources and you have it, boom, let me do this, especially if it's something that sounds quick. Okay,
Yes.
boom, you do this, and then the video is gonna go here, or it's gonna go viral. It's gonna get this many email contacts. If it just sounds like that, because you're trying to just speed past go, that decision actually came because of that healing that needed to be done. So that's what God uncovered for me. That's why I said I
Hmm.
thank that
Yes.
experience because we all have six psychological needs. Thanks to Tony Robbins, I got coached by a master level Tony Robbins coach. I'm actually still in the coaching program, and that was one of the biggest things that when you understand your psychological need, which one drives you, then you're able to like reverse engineer again system thinking to see what is really anchoring your decisions.
Yes.
And so if you need significance because you didn't get validation when you were a kid and you had a sibling that always, got the attention, whether it was negative attention or positive attention, and you want to see what I'm building, see what I got going, and you have this internal thing of wanting to feel significant, wanting to feel like you matter, then you'll make decisions subconsciously from that place.
Yes.
And a lot of times you'll move too quickly because you're
Yes.
just trying to prove. And so that had to be literally eradicated out of me through
Yeah.
prayer, Holy Spirit, and therapy and things like that. And so that's why I say I'm thankful for it because if you ever have like, what feels like losses, as long as you get the lesson out of it, you can't
Right.
lose. It's
Oh no,
impossible.
it's never totally a
Never.
loss. And
Hmm.
I feel like, God is always taking us on a journey, right?
Oh yeah.
And sometimes that anxiousness in us is actually, a faith, situation that we need to work
Mm.
out.
Mm.
Because he said, I got you.
That's right. And if you
And,
trust,
me and him that had a many a conversations of, well, Lord, look, the light bill is due at 11:59 tonight. You said, but it is 11:30. And he said, but I got you.
mm.
That should be enough.
Hmm.
And sometimes I know I've had a couple of seasons that I refer to as my peace be still seasons,
Hmm.
where God was teaching me, no matter what it feels like around you, I got you.
That's it. That's
But
it.
we're human.
Yeah, of
And
course.
it's hard sometimes to sit in that
Yeah,
without,
it's counterintuitive, you
yes,
know? And that's why I love the peace-driven leader movement is because how do you have peace without the Prince of Peace?
right,
You know, I'm marketing into corporate spaces, so I don't lead with that. But
right,
essentially, that's what we're doing. Coming
right,
back home to your divine identity, coming back to that peace place, because that is the only place that you can sit where no matter what type of chaos is happening all around you, that you
absolutely,
will feel yourself anchored in a peace that passes all
absolutely,
understanding. And that comes from daily practice. That's why I tell moms, you're a practitioner, just like
yes,
a doctor. Yeah, you're a practitioner of this life because it's not what the world teaches. That's why I love that scripture where it talks about you're in this world, but you're not of this world.
that
I
was
feel
one
like
of my
that is,
grandmother's
you know what I mean?
favorite,
I feel like that's such a beautiful illustration of what you're talking about right now. It's like you in this world, you see the bill, you hear the government and the drama that's going on in the Congress and the politics. You see and you hear all this stuff, right? But you're in the eye, you're in the center,
right,
and you're anchored and you're
right,
listening and you're discerning and you're not moved,
right,
you know. I know one of my family members, sometimes people will give you their anxiety,
mm-hmm,
and my mom did
mm-hmm,
not want my daughter to go to somewhere to the birthday party and all that because things has happened to her and to me, growing up and things like that. And but God said for her to
right,
be there, that she needed that time. That what she was missing was that social element, and she needed that experience. She needed that moment. She needed to feel like she could be trusted. And the
right,
people that were there, God released me. They said that it was good. So at what point do I trust him? I can't keep
right,
hinging on my past trauma.
right,
Okay. But
right.
if God release you, at what point are you going to trust that
And
she's going to be
say,
good? You know?
I yield.
Exactly. And of course, she's like, I don't agree with this. And she was going on saying all the different things. And we do that. Our family members, they want what's best, right? And
Right,
they just pour in their fears and their anxiety. But that's where when you know you got your peace and you know you heard, you can stay
that,
grounded on your decisions. And I told my mom, I said, listen, I'm gonna be obedient and I'm gonna do what I feel is best. This is on my watch. So
right,
God, at the end of the day, I'm going to be held accountable to Him, not you.
right.
You see what I'm
And
saying? All due respect.
I think as you deepen that connection, right?
Yeah,
And as you peel back some of the world, right?
yeah,
Um, you get greater clarity there, right? Like you
yeah.
get, like I always joke, I was having a conversation with God. This was like during I think during COVID.
Mm,
And God was like, it was almost like God was just talking directly in my ear, right?
mm,
And I have a twisted sense of humor. And so I said, God, you always been this loud. Well, you just
ah,
got, I said, you got you a new microphone or something. What you doing up there? But what I realized was my life was so loud up until
mm,
that point
mm,
that his volume never changed.
Mm.
I had to get to a quiet
Yeah,
place
yeah,
to be able to hear him.
yeah.
And I think that that's what we're dealing with a lot of times with,
Absolutely.
life and grind culture and what we're
100%.
what we're taught life is
100%.
supposed to look like,
Yeah,
and peeling that back to
yeah,
figure out, okay, what belongs here? What is just noise
yeah, yeah.
that's keeping me from hearing, like you said, God said she could go.
Yeah.
If
And
he
it's
gave her
about
permission.
it's about trusting yourself.
Yeah.
You know, your own mama to tell,
Yes.
I mean, that takes a lot to look your mama, and tell
Look.
your mama,
And
ma,
say no, no, no,
you know what I
ma'am.
mean?
Look, no,
But
ma'am.
that
Look,
take,
I ain't lose all my respect. No,
right? Yeah,
ma'am.
exactly. No, ma'am. Right.
No, ma'am.
That groundedness and knowing that you hear and that it's that inner trust. And that's the part, like you said, when when you silence yourself and you hear and you get this clarity and this certainty, then you can look in the eye of anybody and you can speak with us says the Lord with confidence and conviction. And that's peace-driven leadership,
Yes.
because it's a lot of decisions like that's how you build legacy you
Yes.
know and it's a journey, being able to do life well, being able to steward your leadership well, and that is how you reap the legacy is the outcome, and
Yes.
how rich of soil it is based off of how you do the life and the leadership
Yes.
you
And
know
I just love how you shape legacy, because I think that, I think we're not always thinking about it in that way, right? That
yeah.
we're, like you said, we're just thinking, okay, I got this business, I'm gonna hand it to my kids, and that's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You go on social media, you gotta start a LLC in
Mm-hmm.
every one of your kids' name, because that's
Mm-hmm.
legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it is so much richer than
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yes, I love that word. Yeah.
For me, I look at legacy when I see my child make different decisions than I would have made, right?
Yeah.
And my child is me all over again. So,
Yeah.
but to see like I see my old self in him because
Yeah.
of he has my personality, but I
Mm-hmm.
see my new self in him because of the
Mm-hmm.
decisions that he makes.
Yes. I love
And that's legacy to me, because then, he's going to pass that down and
to his
greater.
family and his children. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So when you think about, I get in chills now. That when you think about legacy, how do you not include your kids in the picture? How do they not play a bigger role? Like you
Right.
said, we usually just give them the LLC and let them stay and do kid stuff while we build. And then when they get older, oh yeah, by the way, this is what I got set up for you. They're not meaningfully involved. They don't know what anything is. You got to integrate that all throughout the journey so that
Yes.
they're prepared. I'll say this final short story about Dr. Miles Monroe. Many of you all may know him. I found out about him in his passing when him and his wife transitioned on an airline, and he really just gave me a paradigm shift. I feel like I moved from a religious mindset to a kingdom mindset and understanding really what it looks like. But the most powerful thing that I'll never forget is that when I realized that his death is what allowed me to know him. I don't know if I ever would have came across.
Mm-hmm.
And what I distinctively remember is how in an uproar everybody was. It was just devastated. Like he was
Mm-hmm.
like a leader's leader in his country. But I remember his daughter and his son walking down the aisle of that church and getting on the stage, and the way in which they addressed the congregation, I knew that he had prepared them. There was
Mm.
just no, I mean, it gives me chills thinking about how articulate they were, how at peace they were, how it was like they got the baton, boom. Dad told us this, and one thing that the son said was that Dad helped them to know that if when I transition, first of all, he never wanted to transition without his wife. So that was
Mm.
an answered prayer. So, and for two, that it was time. That I trust God so much. You
Mm-hmm.
must be borderline narcissistic to get mad to think that God doesn't understand or know the timing.
Yeah.
That means the time. Whether we
Yeah.
expected or didn't know, when I transition, I will not transition prematurely. That was his biggest thing. If there's work still for me to do, God is
Mm,
not going to lift me up. I don't care who tries to come for me. It's not going to happen a second sooner than
yeah.
what God says is supposed to happen. And those kids were convicted about that. So in their mind, although their dad was gone, they were in the perfect will of God, and they knew that it was up to them to take it forward. That right there was monumental. That was like some boss type, like
No, that
Rockefeller. I'm only saying because I don't have a whole lot of history on our
mm,
end of how we carry that
yeah,
torch forward, you know?
yeah. No,
Power.
that's beautiful. And I feel like that's when you are at peace when you lose
Yeah,
someone. You know, like,
yeah.
my grandmother raised me, and when she passed, I was at peace because I knew she had lived her life.
You know what I mean?
Like she
And
had done it, and then she did it
yeah,
on her terms,
yeah.
and I
You
was
leave empty, you
yeah,
know?
I
Like,
was good with that, and that further convicted me that, you know, I, I've lost a lot of family members, and I've lost family members young.
mm,
And so I know that it ain't always 80 years. You know what I'm saying? It's not always.
I'm telling you, I lost my sister.
But I don't want to leave here feeling like I didn't do the most I could with what I had. And that
Yeah,
doesn't mean overworking. That's not what I mean
right,
by that. But that means that I stepped into what God called for me.
right. Dr. Miles Monroe would say that the greatest tragedy was not knowing your purpose. I would then add to that to say, really, the greatest tragedy is knowing your purpose and not fulfilling it.
Yes.
Instead, working the job, getting the direct deposit, and
Right.
being a slave to the direct deposit. And not to say there's anything wrong with working, but what did you do with the gift, skills, and talents?
Right.
Because sometimes we get employment and we ignore the deployment, and it's different.
Right.
Sometimes God uses the employment to prepare us and to practice us, get us practice for the deployment, but
Right.
we never get deployed into our calling,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And so that's the key is that you want to leave this earth empty to the point where your kids, everybody that loves you, like, dang, she left some big shoes for us to fill. And
Right.
she left a roadmap,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Right. I
and
just don't want it to
organized.
be like, well, she kept talking about that thing she was
Yeah,
going to
and
do.
she left money. Hello.
Right.
Let's
That
talk about
part.
it. And
That part.
hey, we're gonna
That
talk
part.
about it. Let's talk about all of it, okay? And she left
Cause
resources,
who wants to
you
leave
know,
your kids with debt?
debt, you
Like who
know?
wants to do that? So yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I mean when I say, life, leadership, and legacy, starting early, compounding that so that as you're weaving it, no matter when, my sister passed away at 27. Nobody would have ever known that, having
Right.
those things in place, and
Right.
making sure that, you're ready.
Right.
Because no
Right.
man knows the day or the time. And really that way you get to fully just enjoy, that hey, if anything is to happen, I know that it's my time and I know my people are gonna be good.
Right.
That's peace.
Yeah.
That's peace.
That yes,
You
absolutely.
know? Knowing that your
Absolutely.
kids can sustain, it's having a trust and having things set up to where gets released when they do this. This gets released. They're not just squandering what you've done, creating something for them to pass on. You can't pass on your job,
Mm-mm.
you know? So this is
And then
what
think about how many people pass on businesses or money and it's lost within a generation.
squander. That's right.
Because,
Most of the common
like you
case.
say, you have not prepared them
They're not prepared. They're not prepared. And
for
that so
that.
I wanted to come back to that 40, 50-year-old generation, especially 30s is going to be great if you're listening because you can really set the tone right and show you wealth creation through whole life integration. That's what you want. You don't want just wealth, you don't want just money. That's
Yeah.
nothing. That's not good success. And so, yeah, I could talk about this all day because this is
I
my
know
passion
we are going to have a
topic.
part
Part
two.
two.
We're gonna have to have a part two. So we gonna plan that for y'all. Just we're gonna have a
That's
part two. I'm gonna
awesome.
wrap up this one because I think this was such a great conversation, and we're gonna have a part two where we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into the wealth side of
Yes.
this, right?
Oh, yes.
Um, so let me do the wrap up questions, and then we can find out a little bit more how to get in touch with you. So first wrap up question is, tell me about your favorite pair of pajamas.
Ooh. I enjoy this type of material. So like this polyester,
Mm-hmm.
cotton,
Yeah,
those are just more comfortable.
little soft, little
Very soft.
comfortable,
Yeah. I mean,
breezy
yeah. I
vibes.
know the satin kind of has an elevated feel, but just in terms of comfort, no. Give me my give me my polyester, my cotton. So yeah, I would say that. I love just solid. My friends say maybe I'm a little boring, but I love that solid
It's your
color, not too
pajama.
much. Yeah, I love, now if I'm going like somewhere like girls' night or something like that, I may, spruce it up a
Right.
little bit, put some leopard pants on or whatever. But for me, I'm all about cute, comfortable,
Gotcha.
not
No,
just
no
cute.
matter what the answer is, I'm gonna say yes because
Okay.
I have every kind of iteration. Now, to your point about satin, that is cute, is really cute, but I feel like I'm just sliding around like it's cute, but I'm
It
not about
looks
to sit and
cute,
wear it.
but no, yeah, I'm good.
No, I'm kind of with you. Like these are my like formal, these are my
Yeah.
work pajamas, but my regular pajamas are more like but like
Hmm.
yours, like a little more
Yeah. Yeah.
lighter and
Light.
more
Light.
comfortable. I'm all
Yeah.
about comfort.
Hmm.
Okay, so my next question, finish the sentence. My time freedom allows me to.
Just be more intentional. Be
Mm,
more intentional, be more spontaneous,
yes,
adventurous, you
I
know.
love it. I love it. Okay, so what's the best advice you can give someone seeking the profits in pajamas lifestyle?
Mm. The best advice I can give to someone seeking the profit, I would say I would if I had to choose one thing, I would say to get super clear on their calling.
Mm,
Because your calling really is the fastest path to cash, to be honest.
yes,
Like already built in, God has already built in our human
yes,
design,
yes.
so really thinking about what you're called to do, what you do really well, like no matter who you ask, they're like, is it speaking? Like, what is that gift that you do? And use that, get in that space. And that is going to be your fastest path to cash. And that way you can be your authentic self. There's nothing better than getting
Hmm.
profit. Just
Yes,
be yourself,
right. Like this
like,
is just what I do.
and let me tell you, like, really, Coach Danny, like, you as my witness, when we first came on, my nose was running. My son was sick, and I was like, let me get ahead of it because the mucus is clear. Let me get ahead of it. But then I felt it. And look at me now. My
Right,
nose, I don't even feel like it's literally
right,
like when you're in your vein and you're doing what you love, it's healing to the soul. This is
right.
the best I've felt all day. It's like, and that's the thing that I want women to know. Like, align yourself with your calling, your God-given calling. Can't lose.
And it's funny because I started to say that to you.
Yeah.
Because it's been so many times where I
Yeah.
was like sick as a dog, like I hadn't moved all day, but I
Hmm.
had either a podcast recording or I had a client call and I pulled myself together for the call. And I get off the call and my husband is like, you look like a whole different person.
Yeah.
Like, because like you
Healing for the
said, when you
soul.
step into that energy, it is so healing on so many
Yeah.
levels
Yeah.
that, it's just something incredible
It
about
really
being
is.
able to just be.
Yes. Mm.
But so, yeah, I love that answer. So tell us what's going on in your world. Tell us how we can get in touch with you. Is there something that you want to share with the audience?
Well, I would love for the audience just to get into my world. So what I'm doing now is I'm doing a peace-driven mamas series podcast.
Mm,
Yeah, so if you're listening and you know of a woman or you feel like you would love to have your story, I want to be able to interview moms that are building businesses while raising children. I want their story to be out. I want to talk about the highs and lows, the real stuff, the hats that we wear, the things that we think about. Like, we need to have more transparent conversations about this topic so that women don't feel alone and that we unlayer just a tad bit back. And it's going to cause us to be vulnerable, but we need more global conversations like this so that it's not like edited, so
right.
that women can really like own the season they're in and know that this is just a season. I was there too. Yes, I'm here now, but there's always
Right.
levels of success. I was once there. And this is another big thing that we miss as women is that I can be successful and still need help in this area. I could be
Yes.
struggling. necessary. Help. Just
Right.
you know what I mean? Like it's
Look.
like no badge of just success. Like even me, I just found out that my youngest son, out of six, he's just turned 3. He was just diagnosed with autism. I'm starting to the beginning of the autism journey. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
yes, I've done the wealth creation. I got this thing, but honey, anything dealing with autism, I'm like, say, what teach
Like
me,
this is brand new.
teach me. You
No,
know?
we're always learning, growing people.
Yes.
Like
Always learning. Student of
I
life.
haven't been diagnosed yet, but I'm like, I realized that I got ADHD, and then somebody was
Yes.
like, "You might also have autism," and I was like, "Okay,
Yeah,
like
that's a
there's a
beautiful
whole
combination
nother."
though, in terms of like an adult, like when you understand it, and that's why in
Yes,
my process, one of the first thing I do, like my onboarding process is like offloading for women.
right.
And that's one of the things that we actually give them tests so they can see because back in the day, our parents wasn't, they weren't,
No,
doing that, weren't aware of that. So I noticed things and I could see things in certain personalities. I cried when I found out I had ADHD. I was so thankful. My friend, she also has it, and she's like, girl, you are just so weird. Who gets happy? I'm like, because I understand, like everything is
no,
making
I
sense
felt the
now.
same way.
I
I felt
want
the same way.
clarity.
So I
Yeah.
have another guest coming up. We haven't recorded her episode yet, but she has a Black women's neurospicy
Oh, I definitely would love to connect
Facebook
with
group.
her.
So I
Yeah.
will definitely get you that link. But no, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like
Hmm.
I wasn't sad
Yeah.
about it. Like,
Yeah.
cause I
I
was like,
wasn't.
I'm
I was.
like, the more content I consume about it, I'm like,
It
that's
makes
why I do
sense.
that.
Exactly. And that's that. It's an inner harmony that happens. You know what I mean? And one thing that I noticed is that the whole system I was created is actually for neurodivergent leaders. So it's so interesting you brought that up
No,
because
and that,
people didn't even believe I had it. They're like, no, there's no way. You're too organized. You're
well,
too this.
yeah, I
I'm like, I
shared
had
it
to
with,
learn that. I learned. I had to cope to
I
survive out here in
shared
these
it
streets.
with a friend because her son just was diagnosed
Right.
with ADHD or whatever. And she was like, maybe I could see the ADHD, but she was like, I don't know about the autism. And she started giving me reasons why. And I'm like, you're saying that because you don't realize that my whole life I've been creating coping mechanisms.
That's it.
And I'm
That's it.
wondering if in this moment, and I know we just went off on a tangent, but that's all right. Y'all met me before. We gonna blame it on the ADHD. Um, in this moment, I'm wondering, like you said, we both had the same kind of reaction, and I'm wondering if that's because we are systems women.
Exactly. I
So I'm
believe
like,
so.
all you doing is giving me another piece to the
And
puzzle.
there
I'm
you
like, that's why this works like this. Like
That's so true. Absolutely. Yeah.
so
Like,
it didn't
yeah.
upset me. I'm
I have to go
like,
back and tell my friend
oh.
that so she can feel better. That is true. Yeah. It is different for us because we're system. So it's like a piece to a puzzle
Yeah,
versus
it's like,
just being
okay,
like,
that makes sense. That's why I can't do this
hmm
right.
and
Okay.
this is what I need to do now. And this is okay. Boom, boom, boom. And now it just
And
takes you to another
and that's
level.
and I think that because I was telling the same friend, I was like, I worry about like, will it even show up if I go to get tested? Because again, I've like done
Yeah.
so many things to like autocorrect
Yeah.
that to the
Well, I
public.
found out that I found out I had it through my kids. So 3 of them have it. And it
Okay.
allowed me to be such a better mom to them because I get it, you know? I didn't know I had it until I took them to get support. And I'm like, wait a minute. The questions that they ask, I'm like, I do that. Like, let me,
Right.
you know.
Well, it was actually a client for me. A
Yeah.
client was sharing her journey with me, and she sent me like this video, and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Our
it's
generation just didn't, we didn't know. We
yeah.
didn't know. Yeah.
And so
We
I'm
didn't.
just like, okay, well, that's a thing.
Yeah.
And but to me, it's just a learning point, I guess. Like it's just another point of data. So it
But
doesn't,
people that have ADHD in business, their business actually statistically grows slower. And so that's why I wanted to create infrastructure, especially
yes,
for ADHD entrepreneurs, corporate leaders as well. But the key for entrepreneurs is because they find themselves spinning them with their wheels.
yes,
So they need to have a system to keep them focused. But not just that, they need to have what I have certified peace-driven leader assistants. So all of our moms have an executive assistant, not just for tasks, But to like my assistant will tell you, okay, doc, we got to stay focused. Okay, doc, what was our main thing we're doing? Did you drink your water? Did you like emotionally in tuned to
Right.
you? To be what you are to everyone else, to make sure that that needle is moving, to make sure that they're seeing your blind spots. I've never seen my business grow as fast having that type of human, strategic human support. So that's part of our
Yeah.
system as well, making sure they not only have the automations and the systems, but they have that human support, that they have the alignment coach, that they have a playbook where they can store everything. So we have a digital playbook that has their photos, their images, their to everything that they can just jot.
Awesome.
And it's a workflow for their assistant. They could just drop it, whether it's a sticky note, they can take a picture of it, they can draw it, they can audio it, they can do whatever. And then the assistant takes it and organizes it. So, because the world is not built for us like that for real. Like I'm telling you, like even us trying to be organized in their sense, it's not the
Right.
same. I need to just do me and let my brilliance and creativity go.
And
Y'all go and organize it and y'all keep it waiting. And then
right.
when I say I need it, you pull it out. Because
Right.
I got to keep going. I got many thoughts
Right.
going on, you know?
Right.
You
And
know,
I
so
think a part of it too that I've noticed is that we feel like there is a way to do something,
yes.
and we like it's like we got to get a permission slip to do it
Yeah.
differently. And I think
Yeah.
that that stalls a lot of
Yeah. Well,
us
it's
in
the
business.
culture. It's the culture.
Yeah,
We
so
have been inundated. Yeah,
it's
with
like
their
do
way.
it
Yeah.
this
The
way. And
school
I'm like,
system.
it is your business. Do
Yes.
it the way that
Your
works.
way. That's right. For you. That works for you.
But I
Yeah.
love that you have that like support there because you
Hmm.
need those reminders. You need those like,
Yeah.
points of like, getting you unstuck, right?
Yeah.
Like because
And-
you're like, oh, but it's not doing this. It don't have to do this. It could go.
Yes.
It could go
And
like
that and
this
that's why
way.
one of the things that we do the first 21 days we call it a stabilizer, because what we're doing is we're shifting the mindset from being the stabilizer where everybody's pulling on you for everything and shifting you to becoming the orchestrator of stabilization. Huge difference. And
Yeah.
when you're orchestrating the stabilization, what happens is pattern interruption. We watch them in their natural state for 21 days. And then we put the infrastructure around them that they need versus trying to force them to do what this successful person did before them. No,
Right.
let's
Right.
observe what you got, what's naturally you,
Let's start with
and
you.
build around you.
Right.
Right. That's the
Right.
big difference.
I
Yeah,
love that. I
for sure.
absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Oh
Thank you
yay. This is
so
this has
much.
been great. We got like four more conversations just
Yeah, we
out of
got
this
it definitely.
one conversation, but I definitely enjoyed you being here. I'm going
You.
to share your information in the show notes so that everybody can get in touch with you.
Yes. Everywhere at Dr. Manisha. I don't know if you all are on TikTok, Facebook, but just look for Dr. Manisha, Life, Leadership, and Legacy. I'm getting ready to do the podcast Peace Driven Mama series as well. I just did Peace Driven Mama Entrepreneurs. And then I'm starting a channel today was the first day launch. So of just nuggets. Like I'm going to be teaching content and giving free
Awesome.
value. So just follow me, stay in the fold, so that you can get the proper support that you need. It's not a time management thing. It's not all the things that we think it is. A lot of times we just need more clarity about our divine identity so that we can build the proper infrastructure around it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Like I said, I will share all of your contact information in the show notes so that y'all can stay connected. And this is what community is about. This is why when I meet great people, I introduce y'all to great people so y'all can continue to build
Yeah.
that community. And y'all can't say that there's a resource that you need, that there's not a person that we
Yeah.
have that can't fill it. So I
Awesome.
appreciate you. I appreciate you guys as listeners, and I
Yeah.
will see you guys next week.
See you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Prophets in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with these. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. For more information about creating balance in your life, register for my upcoming calendar detox challenge at CoachDanniD.com. Don't forget to subscribe, join the community, and book a call to find the workflow program that best fits your needs.